All right, let's just jump right in. Have you ever been scrolling online, maybe on TikTok or Twitter, and seen a phrase that just makes you stop? I mean, our whole language around gender is changing so fast, it can feel like it's happening at lightning speed. It's creating these amazing new ways to express who you are, but, it's also creating a lot of confusion and, frankly, a lot of conflict. So today, we're going to try to make sense of it all, from wild internet slang all the way to the front lines of some very intense political debates.
I mean, look at this quote. Imagine hearing this completely out of the blue. It's a lot, right? It could be shocking or confusing, maybe even funny. And honestly, that's kind of the point. This is a perfect example of how online queer culture is grabbing language by the horns, flipping old meanings upside down, and really pushing the boundaries of what words can do.
So let's get into it. We're going to start by decoding a couple of these key terms that are bubbling up from the internet and starting to pop up everywhere. What do they actually mean? And more importantly, what do they tell us about this huge cultural shift that's happening right now? Okay, this first one is, wow. It's such a powerful example of what we're talking about. A word that was once, and for many still is, one of the most offensive words in English has been totally reclaimed. Now it means something completely different, just absolutely killing it, being your most authentic self with incredible confidence. It's about a mindset, an energy. It's got nothing to do with anatomy. It's about an attitude of pure excellence. And then you have something like gender envy. You might see this in a comment section. It's this deep feeling of admiration for how someone presents their gender. Think of it like a new way of saying transition goals, or just, wow, I wish I could pull that off. It's this aspirational feeling that really shows how fluid and creative the view of gender has become, especially for younger people who are still figuring themselves out. So where is all this new language coming from? Well, no surprise, it's flourishing online. For gender-diverse folks, these digital spaces have become absolutely essential. But they're complicated. They can be an incredible sanctuary, a place to find your people. But as we're about to see, they can also be a total battlefield. In this quote from Refinery29 just nails what that discovery process feels like. For so many people, platforms like TikTok can become these powerful tools for self-exploration. The algorithm can create what one person called a little cocoon on the internet, feeding you content that validates your feelings, introduces you to new ideas, and helps you find a community when you might feel totally alone in your day-to-day life.
And look, the numbers really tell the story of why those online cocoons are so important. This research from Hope Lab and the Born This Way Foundation found a huge difference in how safe LGBTQ+ youth feel. 44% said they feel very safe online. Compare that to just 9%, who feel that same level of safety in their in-person communities. That's not a small gap, that's a chasm.
But for every story of finding a community, there's another story of harassment and pain. These safe havens are also under constant attack. The digital world is definitely not a utopia. So where is all this hate coming from? Well, a study from Deakin University looked into the experiences of transgender and gender-diverse people online. And yeah, most of the harassment comes from anonymous trolls, the usual suspects. But what's really painful, and maybe surprising, is that a chunk of it also comes from inside the community itself, through what's known as identity policing or gatekeeping. And the impact of this is just devastating. To really get it, you have to hear it in their own words. Here's what one 30-year-old participant in that study shared. I've been called a tranny, a sad, confused girl who can't make up her mind about being a boy or girl. Another person, who was only 22, just put it so simply. It's scary to know how much some people will hate you for being different. That really captures the constant fear that this kind of online abuse creates. And this is where it gets life or death serious. A 34-year-old admitted, sometimes it really gets to me and makes me feel suicidal. We're not just talking about mean comments online. For the people on the receiving end, it is a relentless assault that has the gravest possible consequences. Okay, so all of this intense online drama is happening while a huge real-world battle is raging over gender-affirming medical care, especially for teenagers. And this is where medicine is colliding, head-on, with politics. So, as an article in Psychiatric Times lays out, the public debate has basically been boiled down into two extreme opposing camps. On one side, you have the ban the care narrative, which argues that this is some kind of social contagion and that kids should just wait until they're adults. And on the other side, you have the facilitate access for all argument, which says that denying this care causes incredible harm. But the author of that piece, who is a psychiatrist, really challenges this black and white thinking. They ask this really crucial question.
In what other field of medicine do evolving clinical trends justify calls for an all-or-nothing approach to treatment access? And they follow it up with this: when the science points to both benefits and reasons to be cautious, which it does here, why on earth are we throwing all the nuance out the window? In literally any other field of medicine, this would be the exact time for more careful case-by-case assessment, not less.
So what's the bottom line? The article basically says that turning this into a political football is failing these kids. The conversation needs to shift away from whether we provide care and toward how we provide it safely and responsibly. And these unbelievably complex decisions, they belong in a doctor's office with a patient and their family, not being debated on the floor of a legislature.
So you've got this new language, the dangers online, the political fights. It's a lot. So how are people on the ground, parents, families, allies, how are they actually trying to navigate all of this? Let's take a look. This is pretty fascinating. It's a snapshot from a Reddit thread that shows just how differently parents are reacting. You've got the supportive listener, the parent whose first response is just, "Okay, honey," and lets their kid explore. Then you have the cautious guide, who sees it as something like the goth or emo phase they went through, a normal part of figuring yourself out as a teen. And then there are the active partners, the parents who go out and find a therapist to help their kids sort through it all. So what do the actual experts say? Well, the Child Mind Institute really boils it all down to one core idea: support. It's pretty simple, really. Take them seriously. Use the name and pronouns they ask for. Make it crystal clear that your home is a safe space for them to be themselves. And of course, keep an eye out for any signs of distress. But this last point, this is the one that really matters. Family acceptance is one of the biggest, most important protective factors against suicide. It can literally save a life. And all of this leads to this bigger, really important concept of allyship. What is it? Well, at its core, it's about actively using your position, whatever privilege you might have, to support and lift up a marginalized group. It's not a passive thing. It's not just about being accepting. It's about doing something.
So what does that action actually look like? It's pretty straightforward. First, you listen. Just listen to people's experiences without judging. Second, you speak up. When you hear a transphobic comment or a sexist joke, you challenge it. And third, you educate yourself. You do the work to learn instead of putting the burden on marginalized people to teach you.
Because at the end of the day, every single one of these small actions, using the right pronoun, challenging a bad joke, reading an article, they all add up. They contribute to a bigger cultural shift. And the goal, the whole point, is to help build a world where everyone, and I mean everyone, has the space and the safety to not just survive, but to thrive. So all this leaves us with one final and I think really crucial question. As our online lives and our real lives just keep getting more and more tangled up, how do we do it? How do we build communities, both online and off, that encourage this amazing exploration of identity, while at the same time fiercely protecting the people who are most vulnerable? That right there is the challenge for all of us.